Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Back when he studied in Primal Chaos City for 12,000 years, Luo Feng had pondered about his blade work and the golden horned beast's close combat skills. The virtual universe company had lots of techniques. However, those techniques were infused with many other laws. Yet, Luo Feng couldn't find anything related to the Beast God Path techniques. After all, no one in humanity had ever reached Shiluo Juo's level of accomplishment in the Beast God Path. Even the blade techniques of some of the knights were simply in the beginning stages, hence those imperfect techniques would naturally not be sold. Selling those imperfect techniques would be a disgrace to the knights. And as he couldn't find suitable techniques, with only Shiluo Juo's techniques that were best suited for the Beast God Path, yet it was mainly just for spirit readers. After troubling over this for so many years, I'm still stuck with this even in the outer region wars, even after spending 100 years trying to refine the 7 illusionary blades, and creating 7 new blade forms. However, his level of refining was too low. At least I gained quite a bit of experience from the process. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. And I finally found the right path from this battle. To improve, one had to first choose a path. Luo Feng was blind to this before. And without any experience from anyone else before. I'm so silly, he thought. Beast God. The Beast God itself is an embodiment of the fusion of laws itself, and it's a fusion of the space and gold laws. With my training, the golden horned beast will gradually naturally infuse the Beast God power and become more like it. Whether it's the claws, horn or tail etc., these are all weapons of the Beast God. I've had too much balance before. I couldn't find the most suitable technique. I didn't know whether to study claw techniques, or tail techniques, or any others. Now that I think about it, it's so silly. The strongest thing about the beast is without doubt the Showu wings. Luo Feng was very excited. But these wings have little use to the universe masters. Naturally, as I get stronger, I should create techniques suited for the Showu wings. The Showu wings are strong themselves. Combined with suitable techniques, and infused with the Beast God path within, it'll naturally be the strongest method. Luo Feng smiled. The human will work on blade techniques etc. Because his blade work was naturally stronger than his punches and kicks. If it was weaker, warriors would naturally use their fists. In reality, they all mostly used weapons, only few with special techniques used only their fists. Human body will work on blade work and spirit weapon techniques. The beast will create a scaled wing attack instead. With a certain path ahead, he just needed to spend the time and focus on his goals. Luo Feng began to madly study techniques, such as strike travel and linear universe, which were both ways to use his wings. They could also be used in attack. One had to know that the beast originally had scaled wings, hence, there were many winged attack techniques in its inherited memories. Luo Feng studied them. And from the virtual universe company's treasure trove, he had already exchanged for some wing attack techniques. While it may not be as deep as strike travel or linear universe, what he needed was references and experience in creating such techniques. Studying many different types would broaden his perspectives and ideas. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Studying many different techniques and melding the Beast God presence in, Luo Feng began to create his own battle techniques. Fog Island. Silver Beast, flee. Quickly flee. Its speed is too fast, it should be Emperor level. Little. The 4 other race warriors fled, however with a flash from the scaled wings, it felt like a bright light in the sky had descended on them. It was terrifying. After which they were all torn apart. These pinnacle general undyings had no way to withstand the terrifying Showu attack infused with its space energy. They instantly crumbled and fell. Everybody disperse and flee. It's the Silver Beast. If just one of us can escape. The poor other race undyings were once again decimated. As time passed, the news of the Silver Beast on Fog Island spread. During their discussions, The other race Undyings determined that this silver beast was at least at pinnacle official power, or even at emperor level. The moment one met it, that would be a tragedy. At least on Fog Island, there was no warrior strong enough to fight against it. No one knew of where it came from. They only knew it was from the human camp. However, each of the 4 camps all had large amounts of other races under them, and only very few had special races that were that powerful. This silver beast may have come from a desolate part of the universe. Bastard. Even if this beast isn't an emperor, he should have pinnacle official level strength. And its speed is terrifying. With such strength, why is he staying on Fog Island? It should head out to the main continent. The main continent has large amounts of officials, even few emperors. That should be its battleground. Right, it's excessive. I heard that 2 of the 12 officials have already fallen. Don't say such things. It's hard to say whether they fell from the silver beast, or they fled to the main continent. Even if they left, they wouldn't let us know. Actually, this silver beast is still okay, killing only once every 2 years. The most terrifying thing is, anyone who meets it is certain to be killed. Hence, it scared off many of the warriors off Fog Island. Fog Island clearly has a lot less warriors nowadays. Bug Clan subservient race Undyings were discussing on a ship. The reputation of the silver beast had become a nightmare for Fog Island. It exceeded the 13 tyrants of Fog Island from before. Back then, how could the 12 officials and 1 star-eating sector lord compare to the silver beast? When meeting the others, the chances of fleeing was still high. But after meeting the silver beast, even if the 6 Undyings dispersed and fled, they would be lucky if even 3 of them managed to get away. In the blink of an eye, over 100 years had passed since he began studying winged techniques. Luo Feng finally managed to get a basic idea of a Shogwu wing attack technique. Even though it was crude compared to Shiluo Juo's absolute manuals, it far exceeded the new 7-blade techniques, and there were still many areas to refine it. Creating a technique sure isn't easy. Especially creating a top-class technique, like Soul Imprint and Illusionary 7 Blades. Luo Feng shook his head. His perspectives had grown, and his law comprehension far exceeding his teacher Hu Yangbo. Also, having seen many top-tier techniques, and including his teacher the Primal Chaos City Leader's guidance, how could his improvement be slow? It's time to go see my teacher. Luo Feng sent a thread of consciousness into the virtual universe network. According to the Primal Chaos City Leader's request, he would often go to Thunder Island, Primal Chaos Shrine to seek guidance. Virtual Universe Thunder Island. Within the highest area of Thunder Island, there stood a shrine engulfed in primal chaos energy. As the true disciple of the leader, Luo Feng would naturally be allowed here. Luo Feng suddenly appeared before the shrine. This shrine had no staff, and it was completely empty. All it had was the omnipresent primal chaos energy. He stepped in. Stopping within the shrine, he said respectfully, "Teacher. What's the matter?" A voice resounded from the energy. "I've made some progress in my techniques created for the Shogwu wings. I'm here to seek guidance." Luo Feng said respectfully. "Unleash them." The voice spoke. "Yes." Luo Feng said respectfully. With a thought, he vanished and an over 100 kilometers long golden horned beast appeared. This was the virtual universe where everything was simulated, and according to what his teacher said, his shrine had some of the special effects of the training grounds. Whatever he thought of could appear. Luo Feng naturally transformed into the beast. Its wings were more suitable for the Shogwu wings. The wings were naturally simulated in the virtual universe too. The highest authority in the virtual universe company was the Primal Chaos City Leader. Hence, when he became the Golden Horned Beast etc., he didn't have to worry about any privacy issues. The beast waved its wings. This wave had the experience of strike travel, with just a slice during flight. Every attack was deep and powerful. The space would be sliced apart like tofu, natural and light. The feathers slashed past the air, and left behind a very faint trace. The beast landed in the shrine and transformed back to Luo Feng. "Teacher." Luo Feng said respectfully. Luo Feng was pretty confident within. He was simply using the most basic usage of the Shouwu wings over 100 years ago, simply borrowing its speed and special features. Now, however, it was completely different. It may seem simple, but its power was much more than before. Luo Feng was naturally elated. The voice spoke from the energies. Your wing attacks are already considered at entry level. It's obvious that they aren't perfected yet. If you do, they will be much more powerful. However, it's hard for you to find proper opponents to train them against. From today on, stay frequently in your training grounds. I'll arrange special opponents for you to match your weak points, allowing you to constantly battle them and train your techniques. In about 1,000 to 2,000 years, you'll have some progress in your first absolute manual. Yes, teacher. Luo Feng was incredibly respectful. Go on. The voice spoke. Luo Feng bowed respectfully and vanished. It has only been a few thousand years, but Luo Feng is already able to kill an official. Even though it's using the golden horned beast and the Shouwu wings, it's already not bad. If this goes on, he will eventually catch up with his senior Kudi. The city leader sat cross-legged in his shrine, the energies revolved around him, making him look like a blurry silhouette. If I had given Kudi a treasure back then, maybe he would still be alive. The city leader sighed. Kudi was after all one that had passed even the sector Lord Sky Mountain. In terms of law comprehension, he naturally reached the 20th level. He was already close to a knight, and was much stronger than Luo Feng. Of course, he had trained longer than Luo Feng too. Even though he was very powerful and had many trump cards, with many survival methods etc., a treasure like the Shouwu wings was hard even for a knight to acquire, much less geniuses like Kudi and Luo Feng. And only a being like the Primal Chaos City Leader, a true absolute warrior of the universe, could produce a treasure like that. Virtual Universe Primal Region, Luo Feng's training grounds. Originally, every primal region's training grounds were the same size, however with the city leader making the arrangements, Luo Feng's place became as big as the expensive slaughterhouse, the virtual space within vast and endless. Within the vast space, Luo Feng stood there and transformed into the over 100 kilometers long silver beast, golden horned beast. Having the Primal Chaos City Leader as your teacher sure is good. Even my personal training grounds has become as large as the slaughterhouse, it sure is luxurious. His virtual assistant Barbata shouted happily. And he even arranges for special opponents to work on your techniques and weaknesses. Even your teacher, Tru Yang, doesn't have such vision and arrangements. Barbata said excitedly. Luo Feng nodded. Right. Even though he created these techniques, he wasn't sure on what their weaknesses were. It was hard to create opponents who were good enough. However, the ones arranged by the city leader were different. The city leader was one of the most pinnacle beings of the universe. Looking at Luo Feng's techniques was like looking at little children playing. He could easily see through everything. A blurry silhouette suddenly appeared and formed. He was a 10-meter tall body made completely of rocks. It had flames burning between the rocks, and its eyes were burning with purple flames. This god had a powerful energy that emanated throughout, and he wielded a 30 kilometers long blood-colored pitchfork. Of course, in terms of size, he was like an infant compared to the golden horned beast. Howl, the beast howled too. The first battle began. In the following weeks, every opponent the golden horned beast faced was incredibly terrifying. Almost all of them were proficient against his weaknesses. According to the training plan set by the city leader, he had to defeat each one before another would appear. In the virtual universe, the basic structure of the beast is fixed. To get stronger, you can only rely on your law comprehension and powerful techniques. The opponents that I have set for you. Defeat one and another will appear. If you can defeat 500, it means the technique you created is already top class. If you can defeat 1000, it means it has reached a pinnacle level. This is similar to the level of Shiluo Duo's absolute manuals. Of course, to be specific, you'd have to defeat 1,200 opponents to reach his level of techniques. Also, if you can defeat 2,000 opponents, it means your technique has reached the extreme level, the level of the techniques I create. Work hard, my student. This was what the city leader told him. These words made Luo Feng's ambition grow, and he was also able to feel just how terrifying his teacher was. Shi Luo Juo's absolute manuals were at the pinnacle level, and his teacher, however, was considered an extreme level. Difficult. Beating each opponent was extremely tough. Each battle would make him reflect and refine his techniques more. The shortest he took with one opponent was about 10 days to half a month. The long ones took about 10 years, and he still wouldn't even be able to defeat him. The hardest of the first 500 was the Hui Suo Space Beast. This was an undying beast with the natural ability to stop time. It made Luo Feng lose many times. After a few hundred battles with it, taking a total of 18 years, it was the longest he took against an opponent. After spending 200 years, the Golden Horned Beast defeated 500 opponents. Regardless, Luo Feng wasn't satisfied at all. He continued to fight and study. It got harder and harder, and the time it took to defeat each opponent grew longer. However, he would constantly study the 3 ancient pictures from before, the battle scene of the beast god. This was much more profound than Shi Luo Juo's absolute manuals. It also gave him a much more discerning feeling as he looked at them. A total of 1,000 years. He finally defeated the next 500 opponents. Howl. On a desolate planet, there were countless green threads flashing in the surrounding 10,000 kilometer. It wrapped the entire planet. The Golden Horned Beast waved its wings and left behind a terrifying silver blur of light. Not long after, countless green threads were instantly destroyed. Rumble. The planet was torn apart too, as it was slashed like tofu by the silver wings of the beast. The 1,000th opponent was the rare life form green thread bug, and this opponent had stalled Luo Feng for 102 years. But finally he was able to defeat it. This bug could produce trillions of green threads, but it was rooted to the planet. It could control life puppets. This particular one the beast fought had no life puppets, and could only use its own body to fight. Battle after battle, the beast kept losing and being killed. After 100 years, it finally won once. Howl. The beast raised its head and howled. After which it became a human silhouette. Ha 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 ha. I actually created a pinnacle technique. Even though it's only the first form, it's too powerful. Luo Feng was very excited. The beast god armament had a total of 6 forms. The first was the beast god descends, but it was a form from Shi Luo Juo's absolute manual. This was very normal. According to Luo Feng's plan, before becoming a knight, he would probably only create 2 to 3 forms. Luo Feng, I have to worship you. Barbata mocked him. Hee hee. Luo Feng smiled, as he was feeling happy within. How could he not? Shi Luo Juo was an absolute being, and the manuals he created were terrifying. Even though he had only created the first form, at least this first form was on the level of pinnacle manuals too. What's more, Luo Feng's law comprehension wasn't exactly very high. This first form was already good for him to use. Like the beast god's second form, he had no way to use it at all. A technique that he can't use was useless. I've succeeded, it's time to visit teacher. Luo Feng thought. With a flash, he vanished. In the highest regions of Thunder Island, the shrine lay amidst the chaos energies. There were no staff or anybody around, and only endless chaos energies could be seen and felt. Luo Feng suddenly appeared and entered the shrine. Teacher. Luo Feng bowed with gratitude and respect. A blurry image walked out from the depths of the shrine, and he was dressed in a long gold robe, with green scales on his head. His face was similar to an earth human, and his expression was amiable. Only his eyes seemed profound like an endless ocean, or vast space. It was completely different from the body in Primal Chaos City. His gaze, however, was the same. Teacher. Luo Feng bowed respectfully. When he came to the shrine before, he never actually got to see his body. You've actually created a pinnacle technique. Even though it's only the first form, it's enough for you to use, and it's what you created yourself. There are many pinnacle techniques in the universe, but the one you create is most suitable for yourself. Even if you study other extreme level techniques to the highest level, if they don't suit you, their power will never be as strong as your own. The city leader's eyes were satisfied. Not bad, not bad. Luo Feng listened obediently. Extreme level technique. Firstly, they were incredibly hard to study, and every one of their creators were universe masters. Even if they didn't suit him, studying them would still be better than normal top-class techniques. However, Luo Feng had created a pinnacle level technique, just one level below the extreme level. And because he created it himself, it was most suitable for him, and its power naturally huge. Do you want to continue on? Attempting the 1001st opponent and moving on? The city leader joked as he asked. I naturally want to continue. Luo Feng replied respectfully. A soldier that didn't wish to become general was not a good soldier. A warrior that didn't wish to become a universe master wasn't fit to be one. Luo Feng naturally wanted to attain as much power as he could, hoping for his own technique to reach the extreme level. Even though he knew that the path was tough and the success rate was incredibly low, he would still attempt it. Very good. The city leader nodded satisfied. Does your technique have a name yet? The first form is set, but I still don't have a name for the entire manual. Luo Feng thought. What name? The city leader asked curiously. The first form is called Milky Way Across the Sky. Luo Feng said respectfully. This technique was a way to use the scaled wings and use it as blades. Like flying and winged blades, the two could interchange easily. This name came naturally to him when he created it. Think of one for the entire set. The city leader smiled. Even though it's only the first form, it's still one of a pinnacle manual, it has to have a name. Name. Luo Feng pondered. The great being Shi Luo Juo's manuals were at the pinnacle level too. Such manuals definitely had to be named with careful consideration. What shall I call it? This is a scaled wing attack technique that can be used as a blade technique. Wing blade. Void blade. Wing blade 6 forms. Wing blade 7 forms. The main thing is using the Showu wings to fight, hence, Showu manual. But this can also be used with a blade to battle, using the Blood Shadow blade. Maybe, Blood Shadow manual then. Luo Feng thought of many names, vetoing each one. He felt they were lacking. What does it lack? Luo Feng kept thinking. Looking at Luo Feng ponder, the Primal Chaos City leader watched silently. A pinnacle manual was the proof of an absolute warrior, even if he were to fall, his manual would be passed on. Hence, every warrior would carefully consider the name, this was also a proof of longevity. Luo Feng's eyes suddenly gleamed. It lacks a certain strength. The strength of the spirit. The thoughts continued in his mind. When I think of my manual, I get a boundless sense of force and emotion. When I think of it, it fortifies my warrior's heart, and I understand my own resolve. What my resolve is. The many scenes appeared in his mind. I want to stop my parents from suffering, letting them lead a good life. Back during the base era, Luo Feng carried his shield and blade, exploring the wilderness and beginning his warrior's path. Dragon Egg. Armor. In Wilderness Sector 003, a monster leader was fighting with 2 war gods. Luo Feng rushed in and took away its egg and armor from its nest. A cornered rabbit will bite back. You really think I won't kill you? His flying blade lopped of the powerful head. Luo Feng's eyes were filled with madness as he fled madly. At that time, Luo Feng was like a demon. 100 billion. When offered the huge bounty, he was filled with fear about his teammates divulging the information. 28 billion. The first time his brother Luo Hua saw the number, he was stunned. Luo Hua, I told you before, I will let you stand confidently before that lady Xiao Nan and before her parents. I told you before. Luo Feng promised before his brother. The honor of becoming an investigator of the Dojo of Limits. The appearance of the Golden Horned Beast and the apocalypse of Earth, the many warriors of Earth risking it all to fight the Golden Horned Beast. Just leaving Earth into the universe, he was very careful and yet decisive, visiting the world within a world and fighting with his life. Every step of the way, he unleashed his talents, risking it all in missions, and all these came from his heart of resolve. To protect his loved ones. Protect his home. Home. Family. Luo Feng instantly came up with the name, Moon. Looking at the moon, he would reminisce and miss his family. Luo Feng had been studying many ancient Chinese texts, hence the first thing he thought of was moon. Countless poems from ancient times spoke of the moon while dreaming of their home, standing alone under the moon and remembering their family. Moon. One law alone is simple, but with many others, they form a policy. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. I've only created the first form now, there will eventually be the second and third, together they will form a policy. My new manual shall be called Moon Policy. Luo Feng made the decision. Moon Policy represented his resolve, the policy also represented his ambition, and his spirit to never give up, but to get stronger. Done? The city leader looked at Luo Feng's excited gaze and smiled. Yes. Luo Feng replied respectfully. Tell me. The city leader asked. It shall be called Moon Policy. Luo Feng answered. Moon Policy. The city leader was curious. There wasn't any manual in the universe that used the word policy, most were XX manual, or soul imprint, or linear universe, strike travel, Nanshan 7 forms etc. He had never seen a manual called XX policy. What's more, the meaning behind moon, the city leader didn't fully understand. Even so, he didn't bother to ask more. Moon policy, let's hope this name will cause fear and envy amongst the trillions of races. The city leader smiled. I will work hard. Luo Feng said respectfully. The city leader nodded. Teacher, I want to ask, what are the levels of a technique? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. He only knew that the top 3 which were top class, pinnacle and extreme. The city leader said, easy distinction, low level, normal, top class, pinnacle and extreme. The techniques normal sector lords and some normal undyings usually create are normally low level. Like the inheritance you got from Hu Yangbo, his soul imprint has some special features. It already surpassed the low-level category, it should be considered normal. Like the new 7 blades you've been studying, even though it surpasses the original 7 illusionary blades, it's still within the normal category. Many official level undyings, and some sector lord geniuses have normal level techniques too. Above that is the top class. Usually sector lord absolute geniuses, and emperor level undyings will create such level of technique. Above that is pinnacle. Like your other teacher Tru Yang, who is able to survive even before a knight, is as powerful as a normal knight. A being like that, or even like your senior Kudi, who was extremely powerful during sector lord level, they would normally create pinnacle level techniques. The knights all mostly create pinnacle techniques. Of course it's just like what I told you, the opponents you face, from the 1000th to 1999th, they are all using pinnacle techniques. Hence, even within the pinnacle techniques, there are still huge differences. Even though Shiluo Duo was strong, he was still only from a normal race like the Goldhorn race. They don't have the background of humanity, hence the techniques he created cannot compare to ours. This is why, his techniques will only be about the level of the 1200th opponent you will face. As for the extreme level, the extreme level is too far away from you for now. The city leader smiled, when you can deal with the 2000th opponent, then we'll talk. Luo Feng was shocked within, immediately replying, yes teacher. Actually, you've already done not bad this time. The city leader said. With my full support in altering your opponents according to your improvement, while dealing with your weaknesses every time, under such circumstances, your efficiency in studying has risen hundreds to thousands of times. I still thought that with my help, I'd be able to help you create a top-level technique in 2000 years, but you exceeded my expectations. Creating a pinnacle technique in 1200 years, your comprehension is very high. At least in the beast god path, it's extremely high. Luo Feng felt regretful within. The creation of a technique was very hard, To have someone specially arrange such opponents for him, even the knights would find hard to do. With such help, how could he not improve fast? 1,200 years. It was akin to his own self-study of hundreds of thousands of years. How could teacher even know that even though my comprehension of the beast god path is high, it's not as high as you think? He pondered. I have the beast god statue to help me. I'm able to study it personally and understand it, feeling its aura. One who stays near Vermilion is stained red. Studying the statue daily made his improvement naturally fast. Go on. The city leader turned and walked into the energies. Continue to fight against the warriors in the outer region wars. The life or death training will help you perfect your techniques, and help you improve faster. Yes. Luo Feng bowed respectfully and vanished. In the 7th battlefield, Fog Island was shrouded in mist as a living ship flew. 1,200 years, these 1,200 years, the silver beast has vanished. No one on Fog Island has seen it since. 4 demon undyings in their demon puppets sat separately, as the atmosphere was relaxed. It might have gone to the main continent. There are many strong warriors there, many officials and even some emperors. Those emperors have all sorts of techniques. Anyone able to become emperor must have huge fortunes, and they are able to buy large amounts of automaton weapons or terrifying items. They aren't easy to deal with. The silver beast may even be killed by some emperor there. With the disappearance of the beast, Fog Island now has many more officials than before. Now there are 18 tyrants, and they are all extremely arrogant. Especially the star-eating sector lord amongst them. When the silver beast dominated the Fog Island, he remained hidden. Now that it's gone, he sure is arrogant. However, to be accurate, he is extremely strong. I heard that even against an official undying, he's able to keep up. His strength improvement is huge. 800 million kilometers away from this living ship, a black disk ship was swiftly leaving Fog Island. Within that ship, a black-armored Luo Feng stood and looked at the undyings chatting 800 million kilometers away. He said softly, the silver beast vanished. It simply can't find any opponent here on Fog Island. The main continent is supposed to have a lot more powerful warriors, with many official levels about. One would easily bump into officials everywhere and occasionally the emperors. I have to be careful. Officials are already hard to deal with and emperors have even more wealth than I do, and there will be other race assassins about. They may come up at any time. Luo Feng thought, on the main continent, I definitely cannot reveal the connection between the star-eating sector lord and the silver beast. If the other races don't know my trump cards, my chances of survival would be much higher. Battle. Danger. Bring it. Luo Feng gazed into the distance at the incredibly vast main continent. That was the Yangji main continent, which was tens of thousands of times bigger than Fog Island, and many strong warriors were there. The black disk ship continued to head towards the main continent. Part 1 end here.